Caulfield,
Present.
Harrison, Horton,
Present.
Madrid,
Present.
Monroy,
Present.
Robertson,
Present.
Swikert.
She's not on either.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, our first,
Cheryl is
how are
on.
you? Our first order of business is Ken Hood. Would you step up to the podium, please? And then we turn it down, please.
That's on.
It's on.
And it looks like that's on.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me here. First of all, I want to let you know that value in this is fairly confusing and in-depth, and mostly to get to the numbers that we're required to get to. I follow the Division of Property Taxation's formula, and they, over the years, I've been doing this since 2003, and over the years they've changed the methodology 3 times. So it requires a different way to look at everything, because we talk about gross value and all of that, and everybody that gets a tax bill pays their taxes on gross value. But then we have net value because we have an urban renewal project. So we send the net assessed value to all of the entities, and that's what they create their budgets off of. But then when the tax bills go out, people pay on the gross. So say a school district has a valuation of, we'll just say, $1 million, but their net is $700,000. So they base their mill levy off of the $700,000, but they pay everybody, all the taxpayers in that school district pay on the gross. So that portion in the middle is the money that Urban Renewal Authority receives from the tax bills. And that's, and I guess I'll start on this very first page of what this is how I have to break it out to give it to the treasurer, so the treasurer can send a portion to each of the property owners that are within the boundaries of the Urban Renewal Authority. And there are 2 separate school districts. Everything is in the city of La Junta. The La Junta Fire District, Southeast Colorado Water Conservancy District, and the Lower Art Valley Water Conservancy District, along with the Crooked Arroyo Conservancy District. That comprises 2 separate tax districts. One is Tax District 8 and one is Tax District 42. And then personal property that is located within both of those tax districts is also included, along with the state assessed properties, which includes the railroad, fiber optics, cell towers, all that state assessed. That's included within that's within the Urban Renewal Authority's boundaries. That value is included as well. So what I what I have to do is I have to separate, say for District 8, we have the county, we have East Otero School, the City of Lahana, Lahana Rural Fire, Southeast Water Conservancy District, and Lower Ark Valley Water Conservancy District. And the personal property that goes with that. Now, for this percentage breakout, I don't include state assessed properties for the percentage. Now, the dollar amounts are collected, but since we do it by authority, we can't disseminate how much is from the state assessed is coming out of each authority. If we did it by tax district, we could, but if you're going to do state assessed and separate it out by tax districts, we would have over 100 and some different tax districts, just because state assessed goes across all the county, especially the railroad with private car lines, because each track mile in each entity's jurisdiction for every car that goes down the railroad, they pay a tax for each railroad mile. So that's why state assessed values aren't figured in this percentage. But and I do the same thing for District 42, which is out by Walmart, includes Walmart and some of the areas, the businesses in that strip mall, all of that, that's all included in there. And then, so I figure up the value of the property within each of those entities, or within each of those districts. And then I take the mill levy that has been created for each of those tax districts. So for real property, the mill levy is always higher than the personal property because Lower Ark Valley Water Conservancy District can't collect personal property tax. So we have to have two separate mill levies, one for personal property and one for real property. So then I apply the value to each of the individual entities' mill levy. So the county has a mill levy, East Otero School has a mill levy, City of Lahana, and all the way down. So I calculate the revenue that's generated from each of those entities based on the value times their individual mill levy. And that's what each entity is supplying. And I do that for the whole thing. And this year, your expected revenue is $216,422, which is slightly lower than last year's revenue. And that's on that sheet that they just handed out to you. I tracked your base value, your increment value, and your revenue from 2008 forward, because the new contract was signed in 2007, went in effect in 2008. 2008 you got nothing, and it started generating money in 2009. And I'm talking the year that you would receive the money based on the previous year's value. It's just like your taxes. You pay your taxes in 24, but it's on your 23 value. Okay? So as you look down through, the base stays pretty much steady. There's some fluctuation up, some fluctuation down. However, the value of the authority has gone up because you add the base value to the increment value, and that gives you the value of the total entity. And the increment value is what you get your money out of. It's like if you were to use it in assessor's terms, it would be actual value versus assessed value. The only thing is over the years, your increment goes up and your base stays relatively level so that your revenue increases over time. And that's based on economics due to reevaluation and new construction. Now, we have seen years where things have gone up and down from a revenue standpoint, but every time it goes down, well, then it kind of regenerates and starts over. And from 2015, we've seen steady increases. In 2015, for example, we had you received $56,632. So it's multiplied itself over 4 times to the $216,422 that you will receive this year. In 2023, you received a little bit more money. However, due to what the legislature did in 2023, that dropped values. For example, we had to take off $30,000 off of every commercial improved building property. That was a tax break to the commercial people. We had to take $55,000 off of every residential property. And that was the legislature's Christmas gift to all the property owners. It wasn't a gift to the assessor's office, believe me. Because it created massive headaches. So when I calculated the December value, I calculated the value in August before all of this started, and we were only going to get a $15,000 break on residential and $30,000 on commercial. But then they had the special session in late November and changed the rules. So we had to do things altogether different. So you lost value between August and December. But you're lucky enough you only lost about $260. So that helps. Looking forward, we've had new construction within the boundaries of the increment financing district. So you're going to see, and in the intervening year, unless they change the rules of how we got to calculate it, most of the increase due to new construction goes to the increment. So you're going to see a fair-sized jump in the increment, which means more money to you in 2025. Everybody following me? I'm trying to keep it pretty simple. It takes me a week to get in the mindset of how to do all of this stuff, because it's totally different from the way we do things on a regular basis. Yes, Randy?
So can I ask a question?
You can ask as many as you want.
You went in such I'm telling you, man, I didn't understand a lot of that, but in general, the way it is, you start off with a base year like 2008 when we start this urban renewal tax increment district.
Right.
You start off with a base year, then all construction inflationary values, whatever caused the tax base or the value of the underlying property to go up, that's what we get some kind of we get the income off that incremental increase over the years.
Right.
Based on that. So right now, we're getting from where the base was, and like you said, it's changed and everything, but $15.5 million, and there's been about $3 million of increase, either through construction
Right.
or appreciation in value of the same real estate.
Absolutely.
And that's what we get as income, is
Right,
that
yeah,
incremental
yeah,
increase.
your important numbers are the middle column and the far right column.
Right,
That's what you're interested in.
right,
The base kinda takes care of itself.
right.
So what you're interested in over time is the increment and the revenue.
Right.
And the increment is what your revenue is based off of. It's pretty much your increment times the mill levy. That's a real quick and dirty way to calculate it.
Okay. The one thing I did, you were talking about a gross and a net value. Is the gross value the inflated value and then the net value the base? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, what
Okay.
was that?
The gross versus the net. Okay, say, the city of La Junta's gross value is $50 million. And the increment because they have the renewal project within their boundaries, that increment is deducted from the gross value. Okay, so say they have they've got 50 million, so they have a $3 million increment value. So their net value is 47 million. Okay, they're charged with calculating their mill levy off of the net value. And that's the money that they're gonna get. But the property owners within the city of La Junta, within the urban renewal district, because it doesn't take all of the city of La Junta, only the business portion, all those business owners are gonna pay on the gross. Okay? So they're paying on the gross amount, but the city's only gonna get the net amount. Okay, so there's a chunk of money in the middle there, and that's your money.
So if we weren't here with our tax increment district, all this money, the $216,000 that we're gonna projected to be getting
Go
this year,
to all the other entities.
it would go to all the other entities.
Right,
Okay. School districts and city and all that.
right. Yes,
May I ask a question about the other entities? I know in 2016, there was a change in the state statute,
mm-hmm,
and that we were supposed to invite, if we had, well, as you know, it depends on
Sure.
when your plan started. But let's pretend that we had started a plan, we're doing a plan in 2016.
mm-hmm.
We invited all these other tax entities. They came in and joined us. How does the financial part of it work? Are they saying what can happen to the urban renewal monies, or are their monies being included in urban renewal monies? Or how does that work? I just talked to somebody who was starting a new URA, and they said, oh no, you get all their money. And I was like, what?
Yeah, okay, so say, and I know that all the entities that are within a urban renewal district have been invited to take part because they have a stake in what you do, not necessarily in what gets paid or all of that. They need to know, the fire department needs to know, are you gonna do a bunch of demolition or are you gonna do a bunch of new construction? Say you have a sanitation district. They want to know in advance, all right, are we going to have to buy more trucks or cans or dumpsters or whatever? Just so that they're involved in the total process. It's not that they have necessarily a vote, but they're a participant.
So it has nothing to do with money whatsoever?
No, it really doesn't. It's mostly informational.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question? I thought when I read those, before I joined, when I was getting all up to date and everything, the way I read now, if we redid our urban renewal now, so let's say this thing was expiring this year and we redid it, I think my understanding is we are a board required to let, like, the school district, the city, and fire department have a position
Right,
represented by
well,
somebody.
yeah, and
then they've
that may be true as well.
Yeah, and then I think they've also got a writer to say that, yeah, we approve your plan for the coming year, or we three don't approve your plan.
Right.
I like to say, I'm getting outside, but I'm telling you, that's the way I read it. is that
Sure,
they have-
and that's more than likely true. Because, you know, they even said a county official, a commissioner, or
That's
whatever,
correct, yes.
should have a place on the board, or be invited to have a place on the board. Which is good, because mostly from an informational standpoint. And you know, possibly you've got people with engineering backgrounds and all of that kind of stuff, so that they have input to what your plan is for the upcoming year, to whether it makes sense or not.
Yep.
You know, not necessarily, are they gonna get any money out of the deal? No, they're not. But if the urban renewal wasn't there, they would have more money. See, in the spreadsheet, this is the amount of money the county is out 53,404, schools out 80,000, City of La Junta's out 7,500, La Junta Rural Fire's out
I
15,400.
want the 7,500. I want the 7,500.
Do you want the 7,500? Okay, they'll cut you a check.
Oh, I can cut a check for that? Thanks.
Yeah. So, that, if the Urban Renewal Authority wasn't there, they would have that much more money. Because the people within the district are paying, instead of paying the fire district, they're paying the Urban Renewal Authority that amount of money. Yes.
So how is it determined, or is it assumed, that the increase in overall value is due to urban renewal? Does that make sense?
Well, without going into about a 4-hour dissertation on the formula that we have to use, we start out with last year's base, or last year's value, calculate this year's value, and then we do subtractions or additions, you know, what's the increase, whatever. Where did that increase come from? Was it new construction?
Oh, I
Was
see.
what if it went down? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, all of that stuff, step by step. And I pretty much, that's all, if you walk yourself through it from a number standpoint, it's like you just follow the instructions,
Yeah.
and you add this and subtract that and multiply this and divide it by that, and next thing you know, you get to the bottom, and these are your new percentages for your base and your increment. Yes,
But
ma'am.
isn't the bottom line, we're paying money to improve commercial buildings because they're improved, they're worth more. The property tax increases, right?
Well, to a point. If you only improve say you've got a building that's being used for something else right now, and you go in and you make improvements to it or whatever. All that really does is change the condition and necessarily the effective age of that building. It doesn't create a huge amount of dollars. You're not gonna get, it's just like remodeling your house. You're not gonna get a one-for-one return on your money. You're gonna maybe get a 40% return on your money.
Right.
Now, if you were to demolish a building, put up a new structure, the building that you demolish has a lot smaller value than the value of that building that you're gonna put up based on the cost to build right now. And so your value's gonna go up. And that's the basic theory behind urban renewal to start with, is to take blighted buildings, tear them down, and build new. And in that way, you entice economic increase by, you know, having a brand new building sitting here and saying, wouldn't you like to rent that building? The problem with the city of La Junta right now is we don't have people climbing all over trying to find places to put things. One bright spot is Sutherland's out here at the old Walmart. They took a building that was in terrible shape, spent a fair amount of money putting that thing back together. And from an economic standpoint, sales tax, all of that for the city of La Junta is going to be a major, major help. And the increase in the money you get is going to be a benefit of that. Yes, sir.
So one more question. So if 2008 is the base year and it was 16 million there was the base and it's 15.4, the other entities that we are, that inevitably the property tax are being diverted from, is their income annually pretty static or even have decreased since 2008 or not?
Their total value has increased over time.
So
Steadily.
they've had an increase in income, and I guess I'm trying to figure out.
Because their total value has increased.
Okay.
And their mill levies have stayed steady.
Okay.
Okay, they can't raise their mill levies without going to a vote of the people. They can collect, if they've debruced, they can collect more revenue based on the increase in value. But they can't raise their mill levies per se. As of yet, who knows what the legislature's gonna do for us this year, but you know, there's all kinds of talk. So, we'll just have to wait and see what it's gonna do to us, you know, and it may help the property owner, but it may do some damage to entities like you guys. Because they're trying to save the taxpayer money. So it might slow down the revenue stream that you all get, because the taxes collected is going to be smaller. You know, if everybody's paying a lower tax bill, everybody's going to get less money, right? I mean,
The taxing entities, yes.
Yeah, the tax.
People paying it get more money, but.
Right, the taxing entities.
I'm a conservative by nature, Ken. I'm
Right.
always looking out for the taxpayer, so.
Right. Well, I agree. I pay taxes as well,
Yeah.
and it pinches me every time I have to write a check.
Yeah.
So, but looking at it from an entity standpoint, you know, we still want to provide money for our schools so the state doesn't overrun our schools. We still want fire protection. We still want water protection. We still want our roads graded and the snow plowed off the roads when it snows, and bridges fixed when it's available. You know, so, and all of that costs money. So, you know, it's kind of a catch-22. The entities are fighting for all the money that they can get because inflation has been choking the crap out of them. And the taxpayer's saying, I can't pay anymore. So, so everybody's in a tight spot right now. But any answer that comes isn't gonna be favorable to one or the other.
Let me ask one final question. So if
Sure.
we did have a new building that got constructed, and let's say there was nothing there, it was vacant land, and somebody went in and built a, just for round numbers, a $10 million building here in Otero County, would that property tax on that $10 million building, not considering the raw land, would that nearly all go to us on urban renewal?
No, not all of it. Some of it's gonna be attributed to, well, I'm gonna recant that. In an intervening year, all new construction in the past has gone to the increment. In a reappraisal year, if that value of that building goes up due to reappraisal, due to economic forces, the part that is due to the economic force doesn't go to the, it goes to the total value, but it doesn't go directly to the increment, so your increment increase is smaller.
But we
So-
still get a huge portion of it
Yeah, for 1 year.
for 1 year, okay.
And then based on what the value of that building is in the future, your increment takes that jump, and then it may, you're not gonna see it like this until you build another one.
Okay, so we get the benefit for the increment in that 1 year, and then there's a new base the next year, and then it's the increase in the base.
Right.
Okay.
And in theory, you have, say you have 4 or 5 buildings in a downtown area that, you know, you need to do something with. So you demolish those buildings, well, that decreases your value, whatever the value was on those buildings. So, and say it's in the first year of your contract deal. You could have a negative increment. It's not that you pay anybody any money, but your revenue is 0 because your increment is negative. But then you start building buildings, well, then your increment shoots up fairly quickly. And then it's kind of designed, in theory again, that by the time you reach the 25th year, your increment eats up the biggest portion of your total value. Even though your base stays the same, your increment, say by the end of 25 years, your base is still, say, at $16 million, but your increment is $25 million. See, that's the way, and by design, because these big outfits up in, you know, Arapahoe County, Denver County, you know, all those places that have tons of these, and some of them overlap. I mean, doing tax increment financing in one of those counties that just drive me to drinking worse than I drink right now. So, but which I don't much. But yeah, it's. But what they do is they sell bonds off of this increment money, or the revenue that's generated off of this increment. Well, then at the end, they can pay off all those bonds because they got this big pot of money. And they've got, you know, a whole revitalized downtown or whatever new buildings, new facades, all that kind of stuff.
For clarification, they sell bonds for a particular project or an area that they're wanting to improve. They
Yeah.
sell bonds, so then they owe back to the bond, and then they take like we're taking this income annually from the increment district, and that's what they pay the bonds off.
Right.
Okay.
Kind of like school bond deal, but,
Yeah.
but the mechanics are a little bit different.
Right. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure I'm clear. So it's just in our TIF district, though, not all of Otero County. We don't benefit from it, from
No,
just the.
just within the district boundaries.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Which go from pretty much the railroad up past Sixth Street, Sixth Street, east to the sale barn, west to Walmart. And then there's, it kind of is fat, and then it gets skinny, and then it gets a little fat again on the other end. And I've got a map at the office, and I'm sure you guys got maps of it here too, that show where it's all at. And the original one was just based downtown, and then when when it would re-up, then they pushed it up towards Walmart.
I totally and completely understand the worksheet you give me now, where I calculate our mill levy. It totally makes sense now that he's explained all of this. Because I have one number, and then I have the construction, and then I have another number, and I have to use this number, and now I understand this number is your guys's. I
Right.
totally get it.
Cool. All right, I helped somebody.
Yeah.
Totally get it.
Anybody have any other questions?
I do.
Okay, sure.
I've already said a lot, so
Okay.
No,
anyone else
no.
does.
No.
So just to your comment, Cynthia, isn't that kind of what this article about the Supreme Court ruling was saying? Like basically just because a building is improved, that doesn't necessarily mean that I had the thought, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna increase revenue that we get. Is that kind of what the Supreme Court
A little
thing was
bit,
saying?
Yeah. They were doing, and actually, as you know, that's a decision that hasn't really been implemented into law, and it's still up for grabs what's actually gonna come with that case in Aurora, right?
Well,
So we don't know.
well, once the Supreme Court is ruled, unless they take it to the federal court, it's done. Whatever the Supreme Court, state Supreme Court has decided, whether it's right or wrong or indifferent, that's the way it is. That's the law of the land for now. That doesn't mean that another URA doesn't try something very similar in the future. But Arapahoe County has probably had more appeals court cases and Supreme Court cases due to urban renewal issues than any other county in the state by far, because they have so many urban renewal authorities. They've got downtown development districts, they've got URAs, they've got, they've got all sorts of stuff, and like I say, some of them overlap. So it's really, really confusing.
But Ken, just to clarify, the Aurora case, you don't see it really impacting us.
No, it's not gonna impact you because it doesn't impact the way I do any calculations.
Thank you.
I'm gonna do it however the Division of Property Taxation tells me, and that's what I'm gonna do. And since they were on the winning side, I don't see any changes taking place. So, the ship's gonna sail the way it's been sailing for the last 15, 17 years.
And then just like overall, so the reason that the other entities should be okay with us being that middle person taking that revenue is because urban renewal should benefit everyone, including those districts.
Well, yeah, it increases their value as well.
Mm.
So they're gonna get tax revenue off of that increased value. But they also get increased value off of everything that's outside the district as well.
Which we wouldn't.
Right.
Lastly, so we don't really use our urban renewal funds, like how it says borrowing against the future increased value.
Right, that's kind of the bond issue type deal.
Right.
And we don't.
Well, you don't
do
have,
that?
well, your pot of money isn't sufficient to allow you to do that. I mean, it's almost, you know, when people talk about stuff up on the Front Range,
They have millions.
we're not even in the same world as they are.
Yep.
And we have to do things differently because you know, we don't have a money tree sitting out in the backyard. So we have to do the best we can with what we've got. Yes, ma'am.
So I was just gonna say, if we keep our area free from blight, safe, the idea is that we attract people, we get a new business come to town, new people, new residents, new kids enrolling in school. So there is a benefit to these entities that participate.
Right.
And there is an
Absolutely.
economic value to what we do.
Absolutely.
The hope is.
You should look at, in a perfect world, that every dollar that you put into the improvement of the community should return $7 back to the whole community. Because, you know, you're providing either new sources, new sources of income for people by new jobs. You're causing people to be able to shop here locally versus go to Lamar, Pueblo, or wherever, that helps everybody, which helps create more incentive for people to be here because everything is just a tick nicer, you know, and you just keep chipping away, and then pretty soon, you know, you're kind of a booming place. You're a place where people want to be rather than a place where people want to get away from.
I lied, I had one more thing.
Yes.
So speaking on, you know, you mentioned new construction, how that could, depending on the year, that could get us more money.
Right.
So what, is that one of the things that's like the biggest bang for our buck? Like what things in the district would get us the most money?
New construction. And like I say, from a theoretical standpoint, old buildings that are in disreputable shape need to be gone. And I understand the historical part of it and all of that, but we finally saw the kit leave. It was a sad day, but there's a parking lot sitting there. And people, nowadays, a lot of people don't remember what the kit, what's the kit, you know? So, but it was in disrepair, couldn't get it, you know, nobody could afford at the time to remodel it, you know, go in, plus we had, you know, it had asbestos problems, it had all kinds of problems, but but it left us, and now there's it's a pretty nice parking lot, but it would have been nicer if they'd have put a commercial establishment there, you know, rather than a parking lot for the bank.
Do you happen to know how much difference the tax revenue is on the parking lot than the old building?
I couldn't really tell you right offhand.
And would you
But
talk
a
about?
parking lot doesn't have, in this area, in Denver, a parking lot is worth a lot. But in Lahana, a parking lot's worth the cost of the asphalt and the concrete that you put on it and whatever niceties you put around it. So it's not gonna have near the value that a new brick and mortar structure would have had if it would have been replaced by that.
Could you also talk about what tax difference it makes to us if a building is in the hands of a nonprofit versus a private individual or company?
Okay, if if you sell a building to a nonprofit and that nonprofit is, say, like CORE or is a tax exempt entity, that building becomes tax exempt. That means you get zero.
And the county gets
And
zero.
the county gets zero.
the state gets zero.
Nobody gets any money. And we've got, I think, well, I really can't say how, but it's a ton of money of exempt properties in Otero County. And they provide services. You know, we got Valleywide, we've got, you know, they took over Southeast Mental Health and all of that. And so all of those buildings and all of that are tax exempt. I mean, we're talking a ton of money because they put up nice stuff. And so all of that kind of stuff is tax exempt. It's just the same way the hospital is. The hospital is supplying the service, and all of that. Well, they're 99% tax exempt.
Keep in mind,
1% is taxable.
urban renewal properties are also tax exempt.
Yes,
Single home
ma'am.
Properties are tax exempt. Keep
Yep.
that in mind.
Yeah.
I know.
So the longer you
Yeah.
hold on to something, you're not making any TIF off of that.
Right, yeah, you're not returning any money. So the object is to rebuild or refurbish and get those on the tax roll, get them rented, get, you know, talk to the economic development people and say, hey, this is what we're thinking. You know, start beating the bushes and get us somebody that can occupy this building before you ever tear the old one down. Because your old one's still got a little value. But if you got a structure in there that's vacant, it's still got value, but it doesn't have the value that it could have. Because it doesn't have any personal property in it. You know, you're not doing business, you're not selling to people, you're not creating sales tax, all that kind of stuff.
Well, and like with the Kit Carson, it just gets to the point, it's a safety issue.
Right,
Money
absolutely.
doesn't matter anymore, you gotta tear it down just because of the safety aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's what the basis of an urban renewal district, that's why they were set up, is to revitalize, to rebuild, to do those things to entice new businesses. So, but, you know, I like the old stuff too, you know. But you can do like the city of Trinidad. They went through and rebuilt all of those. They left everything, they fixed the inside, but they redid all the outsides. And the outsides look new but old, you know. So you can, you know, you go downtown Trinidad and just look at all those buildings now, and a big portion of those are, they got they got renters in there, or owners. So, but it took a big developer to come in and say, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. And they happen to be on I-25, and it was a good spot. We have to be a little more strategic here and play our cards a little bit different, because Highway 50 is not I-25. So I understand all the pluses and all the minuses, but we have to do what we can to keep things going. That's my sermon for today.
Thank you.
That was really
Thank you very
so
much.
And if you guys have any questions, and what I would recommend is in August, I have to do a preliminary, what we call an abstract and certification. I have to certify all the entities. If you would send me an email and request what your projected increment, you're basing your increment, I can't project your revenue. You can kind of take last year's District 8 mill levy and District 42 mill levy and kind of get a ballpark figure of what your revenue is going to be. And I'll be happy to provide that so that you can develop a budget, a preliminary budget in the fall, and then in December, well, who knows when we're going to be doing tax roll this year, but because we didn't get to do it until January this year, but anyway, give me a call or send me another email and say, okay, what's the number going to look like? And by then, once I run the tax roll, I'll have those numbers, and I'm more than willing to share, send all of this stuff to you, or just send you the number of what your projected revenue is going to be. It's not a secret. I don't try to. It's just one of the things I got to do, and when I'm done with it, I move on. But yeah, if you guys want to know, just ask.
We will.
And I'll be happy to provide the numbers to you. And yes.
Is it possible for us to ask for a specific commercial property, whether the taxes are being paid on it or not? I mean, are you allowed to talk about anything like that?
Okay, so if the taxes are being, all you have to do is get the address, or what you can do is call us for the address. We can give you the schedule number or the account number. Take that over to the treasurer's office and find out if the taxes are current.
Thank you.
And, easy peasy. Or if you know the address, just call the treasurer's office and ask them if the taxes have been paid on a certain building, and that's public knowledge.
This is a dilapidated building, so it doesn't, I appreciate that, just so everybody's clear. I'm not asking about paying the delinquent taxes. I mean, it's a dilapidated old building that probably is best not brought up in this meeting anyway, so.
Sure. But yeah, stuff like that. You got any questions about any of that kind of stuff, just give me a holler, and I'll do my best to just confuse the heck out of you.
Thanks a lot, Ken.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Very much. Pleasure.
Do we have any citizens' participation? Minutes of the previous meeting were included in your packet. Are there any additions or corrections?
I had one correction. Oh, where was it? It's on page 6, under B. The last bullet point should read thumb drive.
I like thumb drill.
You're there too.
This is what we get when we have a proof reader in the mix.
Okay, that's a good correction.
I have a correction.
Okay,
On page 4, under statement of revenue expenditures, down below on the motion, it's got Lily Monroy.
mhm.
I missed that. So who was it?
So that,
I read it and didn't see it. So was it Lily or?
I don't know who seconded it. I just,
Well, it'll be on the tape,
Okay.
so it can be checked. Anything else? Do we have a motion to accept with corrections?
So moved.
And a second?
I second.
All in favor, vote on your thing. What do you call this? Push your light.
For sure.
Not everybody has a light.
Yeah,
Thank you, Daniel.
you rebel.
The motion carries. Financial statements. Randall, do you want to give that?
No, he does
I
not.
don't.
He does
No, I
not?
do not.
Okay,
Not this time.
okay.
You got my timer going there, Mel?
Yes.
Okay, so I have changed the format at which the financials are given. This is a change for every single fund in the city of La Junta. All of them are the same. There is consistency, so once you learn to read one, you can read them all.
Nice.
You can do this, Nancy.
It's pretty.
I doubt it.
So I'm going to go over this with you. You have your balance sheet. If you listen to me do the budget presentation, assets equal liabilities plus equity. Equity, fund balance, retained earnings, they're all the same. So we have our assets, and the first thing we have is our cash. That's actual cash in the bank that we could all walk down there and go take out right this second. We're not going to, but we could. Then we have our investments. All of your investments are with Colo Trust, and you have $483,000. $250,000 of that is set aside. Well, you got to do that in your head, but I won't let you spend it because it's already spent. A receivable, and yes, I know it's spelt wrong. I've changed it all the way through my entire program. That is anything we are expecting that we have not gotten yet. Okay. Right now, we're not expecting any money. So, then you have notes payable. This is a loan Urban Renewal gave to a business, and there's in parentheses 1 because there's only one note. All of the others have been paid, and when I took over, there was 5 on one bank account, 3 on another, and 2 on the last one. So you had 5, got 11, and now we're down to just one note that they pay every single month. Don't have to worry about them. Question. That was for loans, when we gave loans, correct?
That was a loan that was given.
Paying them.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So that leaves you with total assets of $500,519.31. Then you go to the liability side, and you'll see accounts payable. That's anything that was in the computer that I did not pay by the end of the month. Okay, so I didn't have any bills as of January 31st. If there is a bill that I didn't cut a check to, it's usually there, but usually I cut all the checks before the end of the month. And then you have your fund balance. Your fund balance is as of December 31st of the prior year. In this case, that is your fund balance as of 12/31/2023. Okay? Then it says plus or minus fund balance. That's the change in your fund balance for January. It will grow. The next month it will be January and February. The next month will be January, February, and March, year to date. So your plus or minus is a negative $2,283, which then when you subtract that from the old fund balance, you come up with $500,519.31, and you can see your assets and your liabilities are the same. That means you balanced.
If it's not the same, somebody should call me. Okay? Then the statement of revenues. You have your revenue, which is your tax increment and your interest. Now, you'll notice there is no tax increment. You did receive a tax increment. It was for the period of 11/30 through 12/31, which means it doesn't go in January. I put it back in December. That's where the auditors want it. So you will get revenue next month. I already got the check. I just don't remember how much it was. But I already put it in the bank. So you did receive your interest. So your total revenue was $2,140.89. That's also your year-to-date because it's January. Again, if it's not the same in January, you should call me. It means I did something wrong. Then you have your expenses. I only list the expenses at which you have used. So if you, and you guys have seen your budget, there's things that you budget that you never do anything with. It's just there in case of an emergency. You guys have budgeted that way a long time. So you'll see this grow as you spend stuff or as you don't spend stuff. But right now you have an operating expense, an advertising, sign rent, and then your project of strategic. And that equaled $4,424.15. That's your expenses. If you take your revenue minus your expenses, it comes to a negative $2,283.27, which is your plus or minus fund balance. Then I break down the expenses for you for the month. That's only for the month. So whatever bills are submitted to me that are approved for payment, you will see expense breakdown, and that's what that is. Okay? Then your budget to actual. It's the same as I put on before. Your 2024 budget is $456,000 less the $4,424 that you've already spent, and that leaves you $443,325. You do have $8,250 that is in encumbrance, and I apologize, I did not put that in there. So I'm gonna put a note here that says plus encumbrance.
That's on the budget actual.
That is on the strategic plan. You have $8,250 left to pay on the strategic plan. Flip to the last page, it's right there. It says $8,250 on page 3 of 3, and it's under the strategic plan.
So you got our projected budget for 2024 being $456,000 when, after just talking to Ken, our income's only gonna be $216,000.
Yes.
So you're saying we're gonna move from our investments over to our budget, the $250,000 for Sutherland's, is that what?
I'm just gonna cut a check to Sutherland's.
But it's, and I understand, but our budget being $456,000, it has to include,
It does include Sutherland. If you look at, well, wait, hold on. Yes, if you look at page 3, it says Project Sutherland, $250,000. So it is included in the budget.
okay.
So it's included in that 443. See, Project Sutherland, $250,000. That's the budget. That was approved last year. I don't remember what month, but the budget had already been done. And I told Cynthia, because she said, no, we're going to pay it in 23. And I said, well, they've approved the spending, and I'll put it in whatever budget it ends up being in. And so in January, I put that $250,000 in your budget because you guys had approved it last year. I don't remember what month, but I know it was approved. Any questions on the financial? It will be in this format every month, and I think it's a more consistent and easy read formula. It also follows my budget presentation. It also follows the audit. So.
Thank you, Elisa.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's
Okay.
wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the budget, or the financials as presented.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Everyone can please vote.
Aye.
And the motion passes.
I gotta ask a question. Am I cutting a check?
We're hoping end of March.
I ain't cutting no check.
We're hoping.
Hey, you guys are getting the interest.
That's
Yes.
right.
Just depends on when doors can come in.
Come on, I got
We can make
you.
Amy happy.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'm gonna have to have just a couple of minute break here.
okay. I'm gonna go ahead and give the Plaza Building report while you're gone.
I wanted to hear that too. We need another tour.
I have it typed up. I only have one copy though.
I can make copies.
What?
I can make copies
Okay.
after you.
The tax credits for the Plaza Building have been conditionally approved in the amount of $682,500. They will not be issued until the building is completed. Yes, Elisa? Oh, are you just saying bye? Okay. Thank you. The air conditioning units that will be placed on the roof are in the building and ready to be installed. The internet is installed to the outside of the building, and inside wiring is expected to be done this week. The air intakes have been dug out for 2 furnaces in the basement on the east and west sides, 1 each, and will be below ground. The holes were dug by machine as deep as the machines would go, and then the rest of it was dug by hand. And they really made a nice job of digging those holes, I think, if you're into that sort of thing. The stone foundation in that area was tuck pointed on the outside, and the area was in the part that wasn't covered by dirt at that time, and metal lath was added to the area and then covered with stucco and then coated with black waterproofing material. The U-shaped concrete walls were poured. The open area will allow the outside air into the furnaces where it will be heated and dispersed to the building. And then the whole thing will be covered with handicapped accessible grates. So that's pretty much bringing us up to what's been done so far. There is still plenty to do. They're still hoping that maybe we can be done this year, but no guarantees yet. Are there any questions? She's making you a copy.
That's good. I'll have questions after I see the copy,
Well,
after the meeting.
okay, that'll be fine. So, the next thing is Cheryl. Are you still on, Cheryl? Are we gonna have a microphone for her?
She's on the screen. Yeah.
There you are.
Okay. You're up for the agenda.
Perfect. I got a great education tonight. That was fun to listen to. I appreciate it. I'm really only here for one thing this evening, and that is to answer any final questions you might have on your strategic plan. We had, a 2-hour meeting on it a few weeks ago, made those changes. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a few extra things that you wanted to correct, but my recommendation, as always, is go ahead and adopt the strategic plan, giving staff the direction to correct any typos or any sort of formatting errors that have occurred. And then we'll move into the actual sort of, let's see how it works and let's see where we go with it and let's talk about it and continue to have conversations. I think you all saw my email following our meeting of a few weeks ago, where I recommended that you go ahead and live with it and see how it works in real life, and then talk about, maybe this goal is more important than that one, or maybe this is confusing, right? We need to reword it or add some context to make it easier to understand.
Okay.
I'm happy to go page by page for you. I'll go sort of lightning fast because I know all of you have seen this more times than you want to. Or I'm happy to simply answer any questions that you would like. Your preference entirely.
Well, let's see if there's questions first, okay? Does anybody have any questions of Cheryl or comments? If not, do we
I see
have?
Cynthia might be handing out some copies.
Yeah.
As you know, it's a pretty big document and
It
is
isn't
Google
for
Docs.
this though.
I do know Google Docs isn't as accessible for some people, but
Thank you.
we can make it small enough after you approve it. We can make it small enough to email. The email version is gonna be slightly pixelated. It won't be as pretty because when you compress the size to get it into an email, it just doesn't look, the pictures just don't look good. So, just a warning.
Okay. I think we're ready for a motion, if anybody cares to make one, to adopt the strategic plan as presented.
I make a motion to adopt this strategic plan as presented, of course, making any spelling corrections, typos along the way that we see fit, but to adopt it, yeah. Thank you.
I have been wanting to do that.
Is there somebody wanting to second it?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? If not, would you please vote?
Aye.
And the motion carries. We have a strategic plan. Thank you, Cheryl. Okay, did you have anything else for us, Cheryl?
She just disappeared.
Oh, okay.
They accepted
She probably fainted.
Okay,
Well, I'm done.
okay, it's the connection that was lost.
Oh,
That's
she's,
a reasonable.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
And I don't think, no, my computer's not dead, so.
Yeah, I just lost connection too.
Yeah, let me go back in
Wind isn't that bad, is it?
see. I don't know what happened.
she'll just have to wonder if we passed it or not, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Cynthia, you are up on the agenda.
Okay, well, the only problem is that Lily can't hear us at all, but, okay. Get up here. Oops,
Or you know where to, oh, there you go.
there we go. Okay.
Can you get up?
Yeah, I'm fine. Is, did you say here we go, is Lily back on? Good, yay. My comments are pretty quick. We don't need to discuss Kaiser versus Aurora, we already did that. We also don't need to discuss the formula for our current assessment. Thank you, Ken Hood, he was so great to come and I hope that helped everyone. The Plaza building lease, I don't have it in front of me, but I've read it pretty thoroughly. We had some questions pertaining to whether or not you could rent those apartments, whether or not you would owe Urban Renewal anything in return. According to the lease, you've rented the building, the SECCP has, for I think it is, what is it? 39 years. So they have control of the building for 39 years, and it's pretty well spelled out that they are responsible for 2 rentals and also cultural, I think it was called community activities and cultural activities. And then it was also for anything that had to do with artistic sorts of activities as well. So it's pretty well spelled out in the lease. What needs to be done. The only thing that you need to make sure SECCP needs to do is to pay the $10 per year for the lease. Okay. So it's I think it's, any questions about that?
If you're in fear of defaulting, just let me know, I'll give you $10. I don't know if I can do that, but.
That goes on the record, okay.
Is this lease cancelable on either person's part or not?
I think it says yes, it can be, but
I don't know.
It said 30 days.
Yeah.
Just 30 days notice.
I think there would have to be reason for cancellation.
It said that somewhere. Is there a date to fill in the blank? Or the lease is contingent upon the tenant receiving approval and funding consistent with its grant application on or before?
They already got the grant. That was the grant that they got back in 2017
Or either party may.
from SHF. It was their initial grant.
In that same paragraph, it says you
Yeah.
terminate upon 30 days written notice to the other party upon termination of the lease. Landlord shall return to the tenant any matching funds of the tenant that it is holding for the benefit of the tenant in connection with the state historic grant fund application.
Right. And that's years past. So is everybody satisfied?
Didn't have a problem.
Okay. The other thing that came up during the last meeting was a READY grant. We talked about maybe serving as a pass-through for SECCP to be able to get READY funds. It's been determined actually by the Department of Local Affairs that only the city or the county can be the pass-through. So when and if I need to do some machinations before all that happens because I need to have the city's approval. I can't just write a grant from DOLA. They require that you have the approval of the city. But so Urban Renewal is not able to do that. Just wanted to let you know. The Hampton Inn sign was a question last time. It seems to be repaired. I just went past it and it seems to be fine now.
Somebody out there.
Yeah, so, and then we had a question about the tax increment district and why projects outside of the district were worked on previously. It is because HUD, I asked about this immediately after the meeting, HUD and Urban Renewal used to work hand in hand. Okay, and it was not required that you work within the district, and that has changed over the years. Because I was like, why would you have a district if you don't use it? But anyway, they worked on that. So that's all I have. Do you have any other questions? No? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any governing body comments? If not, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming. And the meeting of the CLG will begin.
May we have a small break?
Sure.
Just a minute?
We'll take a few minutes break in between the meetings.
And Madam Chair, when we start out, could we possibly let Mr. Mason come up and talk to us in the beginning?
Sure.
He has something that he's interested in.
Oh, good.
We'd like to be involved.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Just like the rest of us?
So would that be
Like glows in the dark.
Cynthia,
Yes,
would that be under citizens' comments?
pardon?
Will that be under citizens' comments or?
Just have them after you roll call.
Just, yeah,
Okay, okay,
and then call him,
okay.
yeah. And Tony has contacted him, correct?
I did, because we had said that last time, so I didn't want it to go without revisiting.
Right, he said he wanted, he
What's
was
that?
interested.
Great.
Your interest in
Oh.
CLG.
And he's already filled out an
Yeah,
application for.
all those corporate people at the store last time.
Otherwise.
I think we can use the same one.
I think we need him on the CLG, so that's why.
Okay, I'll be back in just a second.
If somebody's interested, you grab him.
I'm here to serve.
You said that last time, and I remembered that, so.
I know, some weeds that need pulled, you wanna serve that?
Let's do it. I got two teenagers that are here to serve as well.
Oh, yeah, no matter how much they complain.
This is
The man out.
Paul Mason, Ben Mason.
I've seen his name a lot.
He's the Sutherland dude.
Sutherland dude.
Quote.
Are you the, what do you call yourself, owner, manager,
Store manager.
store manager?
Store manager. I knew I'd seen you before.
Oh, yeah.
And I know, I have a friend, Paul Mason, so that's why I said Paul.
What?
He's right away.
On the front? Oh, JT? I haven't seen anything like that.
Anthony's who I mentioned, the company that's doing
When
it.
are they opening?
Super duper nice.
The end of March, I thought he said.
End of March?
If everything goes well.
Hopefully, that's the hope.
But she just goes to us. I don't know what happens. We like to try and
I'm gonna
get
put hopefully.
Yeah, probably best that you don't, they don't want people
not
knocking on the
good
door
inside.
April first.
So they go out and make a line on the
On April
lot.
first, they'll say, "Sorry, just kidding. April
Is
Fool's
it
Day."
the old Gibsons?
The
I
old
think we're all here, right?
The old Walmart.
God bless whoever goes into the old Gibson.
Yeah.
You might not come back out. That we should do. That we should do.
What happened to the Gibsons building? I can't remember.
Don't know, I don't know the
Nothing,
facts about it.
nothing.
Nothing
It's
yet.
still there.
They're waiting.
Sobbing.
They're waiting, right? Or it's on
Yes.
hold?
Somebody's.
There's
Rick
something might happen.
Something in the
Yeah,
works.
something might
Yes.
Maybe a large skating rink.
Ooh. You gonna get out there, Betty?
I don't,
I can't even walk, much less skate.
No sales tax.
Happen.
Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order of the certified local government. Can we have roll call, please?
Bennett,
Present.
Caulfield,
Present.
Harrison, Horton,
Present.
Madrid,
Present.
Monroy,
Here.
Swiker.
Present.
Okay, Ben, would you like to address the group?
Hello again.
Hello.
Ben Mason. Just interested in possibly serving on this board and doing what I can to help out the city and my local community.
Thank you. We have your application from last month, so do we have a motion? Do we have a motion?
I motion to accept Ben Mason onto the CLG board.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, everyone in favor, please vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Good. Okay, the motion carries. Do you want to take a seat?
Sure.
Any place.
And thank you for volunteering.
Yes.
Okay, the minutes of the previous meeting are included in your packet. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve them?
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
That's all right.
Everybody in favor, please vote on your. Amy?
Aye.
Oh, okay.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Did you vote, Aaron?
Maybe it didn't come off from last week?
We show Ben how to vote, please. Push the green button. We only allow positive votes here. Thank you. The financials,
Yes. The financials are unchanged from the last meeting. We still have $7,000. $5,000 is, $190 actually is going to be used for cash match for the CLG grant, which we applied for last month. And I think that's it. I think we have, well, we also were charged $45 for
$45 to pay for the public notice in the paper. So that's the only other thing, so.
How much was the
$45.
the cash match?
Oh, the cash match is, we've applied for 30,000, but it was 31,000, whatever 1,190 extra dollars is, $31,190 for the total. So and you can only ask for up to $30,000. I mean, you could try to ask for more, but that's what you're going to get.
And that's for the survey.
That's for the other survey. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you want me to go on to unfinished business?
Don't we need a motion?
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes.
Is there a motion to
Sorry.
accept the financials? What?
I say go, Ben, go.
Motion to accept the financials?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, would you please vote?
Aye.
Lily?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carried. Okay, you please go on to unfinished business.
Thank you. Pinyon Canyon Maneuver Site, I'm still having great problems getting a hold of the archaeologist there. So I don't quite know what to do at this point except maybe drive down and see if I can go outside the Pinyon Maneuver Site and go, to get his attention. But I will keep working on it. And the CLG grant application they haven't responded yet, which is typical. I'm not worried about that. If possible, Tony, I would like you to report on what's happening with, well, actually, I'll the discussion we had on the lynching memorial, yes.
I mean, I can say what I remember.
What you heard yesterday, yes.
With the lynching?
Well, I'll do it if you want to. I'll do it if you want to. We had a Rotary meeting yesterday. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday. We had a Rotary meeting yesterday where we were talking about the survey and about some of the facts that came up with the survey, including the 1902 lynching. And we had great interest among the Rotarians on working on that project and moving it forward. Yeah, it was amazing how they said, I want to be part of that. So they were very much interested in doing it. They also, and this is the other part that I guess it's under new business. So do you want me to bring that up under new business and then have Tony talk?
Business is business, go ahead.
Okay, all right. Tony, please tell them the exciting news.
Okay, so through Rotary, we have roughly 10 or so people that are part of the Historic Walking Tour Planning Committee. We met again yesterday. We're going to try to identify 10 buildings or sites to start with. We're still doing some research, and we are learning things like owner permission for different things, how we're going to market it, are we going to be thematic, those kinds of things, but definitely feel like we're moving forward with some action items. Didn't you feel that way?
Yes.
I mean, we're still definitely kind of don't know what we're doing exactly, but but we have what I like is we have the excitement for it, and just like Ken said, I mean, if things start getting torn down because they need to get torn down, we have to try to grab our history some way, and that feels like a very effective way to do it, and other towns like ours have done it, and it feels like it's a doable thing. Need people, as Cynthia told me when I first suggested something like this, you need people, and the Rotarians have stepped up really in full force, almost, right, 10?
There were 10 people very excited.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yes, and we weren't serving food.
We even had to buy our own lunch. Was there anything else?
The only thing I can think of is we discussed that maybe connecting with the new city website that we're building to have it so that everything would be stored there. You know, the QR code, you hit it, bing, it comes up at the city website, which I don't think is going to be problematic at all. And we also talked about whether we would have like vinyl clings on the windows rather than actual like steel, whatever it might be, so that you can take it up, take it down, whatever it might be. And I also sent all those 10 people our survey report in addition to our all of the individual forms, both the reconnaissance forms and the others, so that they have contact with it. And I can send it to you, or your wife can let you look.
We talked about it all night.
Okay, she was excited about it. I love that. No, but there really is real enthusiasm. I don't think it's going to break our brains or our time. We just want to be inclusive with all these people who are so excited about the project.
Yeah, and we hope that it'll just grow, or maybe there will be more than one different type of walking tour. You know, there might be this kind of walking tour, and then there might be a walking tour about the Green Book, lynching, things like that. So I mean, my brain is like, let's do all of it. And then my friend Amy helps me go, that's probably too much. Slow down. Let's do 20. Let's do 10. So anyway, everybody's going to bring an idea to the table after looking at the survey, so we get some different opinions. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I think it's gonna happen, because we just have the excitement that I don't know if I was expecting, but I'm glad I got.
I think it's a great example for how, you know, a city-connected board can work with actually the people who are out there to generate some interest, community, to work together. I think, thank you, Tony, for thinking of this.
Well, I'll say one thing. If I didn't feel free to talk with Cynthia, then I probably would have never suggested or even thought about it. And then she said, you just need people. And then my connection with Rotary said, oh, maybe Rotary would like to be those people. And it just worked out. So thank you, Cynthia, for being open and
I love
that's
it.
approachable, and that's a good quality. So thank you.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Thank you.
All the knowledge that you have. I have just a couple.
Were there any like specific action items discussed for the lynching project, like that
No.
they'll help
Well,
with, or
well,
like, what was the
actually,
discussion?
You know, MJ Romano had a lot to say because, as you know, she's the head of the Presbyterian Church here in La Junta. The Presbyterian Church was originally right across from where the lynching occurred, and which was over in the courthouse square. So she was like, I wonder if any of my parishioners were involved. Not mine, but, you know, back there in 1902 were involved of all this. She goes, you know, Presbyterians are Scottish, and the Scottish are connected to the Klan. And so she was being very open and very, you know. So we talked about maybe putting something on that corner. Of course, we have to work with the county because it's their land. But again, having something that talks about the history, some kind of commemoration, some kind of ceremony. And I'm thinking, I'm into QR codes these days, you know. So, you know, maybe presenting the complete history that we already have in our survey report.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I just think that would be a really wonderful thing to do, to tell more of the complete history, not just the history that we usually read about, you know, Otero settled this area, that kind of thing. There's more to us. So.
And as far as working with the county on that, what specific steps would that be?
I would think we would need to talk to commissioners. I'm guessing that the Historic Preservation Commission would probably like to talk to us too. And that's about it that I can think of that we would.
It wouldn't be like a formal proposal or something like that.
Well, we'd never, I wouldn't want me going up and ad-libbing, let's just put it like that. I'd like to write something up and then, present it here, but also work in conjunction with the Rotary because they are go-getters. I mean, you sit them down and you're all eating a sandwich or something, and by the end of the meeting, which is 1 hour, exactly 1 hour, they're ready to go. Well, actually, they were ready in 30 minutes, but we were still talking. But yeah.
And we all talk at the same time, but we hear everything.
We understand. We understand each other. So, anyway, and you all are in favor of moving forward with this?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Anybody opposed? Okay, cool. So, Madam Chair, may I go on to new business? Any business is okay business. Okay. Next month, we are going to be reviewing the application for the First Methodist Church here in town. They turned it in last night. So I will get that to you to review. It's really easy. The questions are easy to follow. Basically, they have already filled in and submitted an application for, get this, the Colorado State Register. So they've done their research. They did it all themselves. It's pretty incredible. I'm so, thankful that they took that interest. Once they get that they want to be locally landmarked with us as well, that will get them so that they can go to the State Historical Fund and request monies, and there's also tax credits that they can go to. Finally, yes, we're sort of turning the corner where people are understanding the economic benefits of really engaging with historic preservation. So I think that that's really important. The other thing is that I just want to say one thing to sort of even out the afternoon. People usually don't go to look at a new building unless there's something in the new building that is fantastic, like Sutherland's, which is an old building, but it's remodeled, okay?
Newish.
Yeah, newish. People go usually to a site, to a town, to a location because of its cultural or historic importance. That's what they come to see. So even though it might not churn out the revenue that was previously discussed, it does churn out revenue in other ways in terms of people visiting, in terms of people, tourism, to tell you the truth. I mean, tourism and also local community pride. So I just want to say that's something that possibly can't be measured in dollars. It can actually when you look at something like the tennis courts. I crunched some numbers and have been writing some grants on, well, I wrote one for Save America's Treasures, which the reason we were eligible to apply for that is because it is a historically landmark park. Okay, that's how we were eligible on the National Register. That's how we were eligible to ask for over $250,000 from the feds. So that's a nice perk. I don't know if we're going to get it yet. I haven't heard yet, but I mean, at least we were eligible to apply. Same thing with the State Historical Fund. I'm applying to the State Historical Fund for the match for that because, believe it or not, that park, for the tennis courts, it's pretty darn expensive. It's over $500,000 to remodel it and take care of it. But I just want to say something about that, just so people understand that it's not just rip it down, build it up, it's worth more money. There are a lot of other things to consider when what attracts somebody to a local area. And the other thing, I have a question for everybody. There was, this is for Aaron and Tony and Nancy. Did you get your connection to the Saving Places conference so that you did get it? Okay, they have not charged us yet. Yeah. So, well, no, I always try to do the right thing, and I'm going to connect with them. That's $600 that we owe them, and I will get in touch with them so that we can pay that. Okay, and that's all I have.
Thank you. I certainly appreciate Rotary's interest and efforts and enthusiasm and willingness.
I did find a typo on the minutes.
Oh.
It says, K, instead of early, it has a K in front of the early settlers, it has a K-E-A-R.
Curly settlers.
Curly settlers did.
It's a new
So,
thing.
sorry, that's after the fact, but I just looked down.
is that?
Under my comments last time about the walking tour, it says curly settlers.
Thank you.
Curly settlers and thumb dribble.
Okay, are there any governing body comments?
I just want to give Cynthia a shout out because I think that you had a lot to do with the Methodist Church. You know, you guided them, you gave them a lot of guidance, so
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did break bread with them and spend some time, and I got over
absolutely.
their state register nominations. So, thank you.
Sorry, I have another question. Is there any funds for any kind of, like, I'm gonna say walking tour, because that's what I was thinking. Is there any money out, any grants to write for, to pay for the clings, to pay for the development of the QR codes and all of that?
Actually,
good
there are a
stuff?
couple of grants. I was thinking about the LORS, L-O-R-S Foundation. That's something. There's also T-Mobile grants that we could look
You
at.
didn't need much, it just, it
Well,
would be nice to have a little.
Don't be cheap,
But it could
okay?
I mean,
Or we could do so much more if there's money,
Think
yeah.
about the, phase 1 or phase 2 or whatever it is, and try and go for all 3 phases or whatever it is you're gonna do. You'll get your ideas. There's that foundation. There's a lot of different places for small amounts.
So do we write that with your help, or how do we, like Rotary, or how is that, who does that? Is that, like, you need something else to do, is my thought.
That would be an easy one for me, quite
Okay.
frankly. I don't think it's a hard grant to
Well, if there
write.
was anything I could do to help, I
Bless
would
you.
be.
Yes, actually, something like that is I think would be easy, especially, the smaller ones tend not to have as many moving parts.
Okay.
Except I'm doing one right now for $7,000 that I'm breaking my brain going through, asking some of these questions, like, how much money will you bring in this year with all the grants that you're writing? I mean, things like that, which I don't know, I mean, I kind of counted, but I don't know if I'll get them all, we'll see. So, but I appreciate that you asked, and we'll get some money so that we don't break Rotary's bank either.
I don't even know how much Rotary has.
But to tell you the truth, if this were done at a different time, because we can move fairly quickly on this, we have to get the grant first before we spend the money. That's number one rule of grant making. But we could have gotten it from the CLG grant. They pay for education about the sorts of things that we've done, and we want an award for that survey.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think they would probably want us to spread the word.
And use the
Oh,
survey.
yeah.
So, we might do, what we could ask for later this year is maybe phase 2, okay, of the walking tour. And just do the 5 or 10, whatever it is now, so that we can show what we're doing, but what we really want to move forward with.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? If not, the meeting is adjourned. Did you want to say anything about this?
No,
Okay.
I don't want to say, I mean, basically it was included